Okay, let's start with this session. So today's topic is Cisco DNA Center Automation, Analytics, and Platform. So I will be talking about those different aspects of the Cisco DNA Center. I will go to the agenda a little bit later in the next slide. My name is Robert Lesar. I work for NIL, Slovenia. I work as a routing and switching expert, and the last couple of years I work on different software-defined platforms from Cisco. My main area of expertise is routing and switching, but I also work for other security products, like StealthWatch is the one that I can emphasize at this point. Okay, company NIL was founded back in 1989, and we are a Cisco Gold partner from 1995. So this is around the year when I start working for company NIL. Headquarter is in Slovenia, in Ljubljana, but we have some offices in other countries, as you can see on this slide. From previous year, 2019, NIL becomes a part of Conscia Group. In relation to this Cisco DNA Center, NIL offers consulting services for designing, implementation, and so on. We can also prepare some customized trainings, so to prepare you or your teams or your customers to adopt this product or this solution. So we call this mentored installed, or we just provide trainings for you or your customers. Okay, at this point, when we see the agenda, I will first want to welcome all of you to this webinar. It will be very short webinar. You will see just a couple of slides on each of these topics. I would like to thank all NIL and Conscia customers. I know that invite was brought to you through Conscia channels, so welcome to this webinar. What we will be talking here, I have a couple of slides on each of these, so you see on my screen some introduction, so we will take introduction on this, and then we will talk about three, let's say, aspects of the DNA Center, so automation, assurance, and platform. Although initially there was only automation and assurance, but later they add this platform. And I will explain you what each of these aspects means, or what you can do with these things on the DNA Center. And for the last thing, I add a little bit of a roadmap, licensing, so how licensing works, and where you can get more resources on the DNA Center. And then we will have Q&A session as our last, let's say, last thing on this webinar. Okay, so before we start with the DNA Center, we need to look into what are traditionally key challenges in today's network. And you see on this somehow marketing slide shows that today's network are facing a lot of, let's say, endpoints connected, a lot of devices connected to the network, and there is really hard to keep on with the segmentation in the network. And for this reason, like in the past, we were using subnetting, VLANs, and so on, all these nice layer 2 technologies, but we found out that this will not scale on a long term. In this area, of course, DNA Center will be of very helpful to us because it allows us to do segmentation on much faster level. The technology I talk about is software-defined access, or SD access, which is, let's say, a topic for different webinars. Most probably it will come later this year. But today we talk only about DNA Center. So we have this segmentation complexity of the management. So with a DNA Center, we want to address the management to have a single platform or a single pane of glasses where we can manage our network. And of course, with this comes the resolution of the issues. If there is any issue that was happening in the past, how you can resolve this. Of course, we have all these SIEM tools today, but they may not address all the aspects of the network. So all different, whether it is routing, whether it is QoS, whether it is a security aspect of the network. So this is not addressed with a single product up to now. Now, with the DNA Center, we actually say this is a controller. It comes as hardware device. There are three different sizes. I will talk about this later. And it is installed in the network where you can control your routers, switches, wireless LAN controllers, and so on. So it is meant to be used for automation. So this controller is automating our network devices, but at the same time is used to collect different telemetry information from the network. So I talk about syslog, streaming telemetry, Netflow, and other kind of information coming from the network. So that's why DNA Center is for management, so for automation, and also for analytics. And then I will be explaining this platform in the separate series of slides. So platform is helping us to build other services to use DNA Center to utilize our network. So this is as short as I can explain a platform, but I will talk about a platform a little bit later. When you look today on the DNA Center scaling, so you will find three sizes of the DNA Center. You have these three, and you select the size based on the number of the devices that you want to control. Of course, there are also some other sizing parameters that you may take into effect, but it depends on what kind of solution you want to control through this DNA Center. So this is the sizing. At this point, DNA Center is coming only as a hardware appliance, so you cannot get it as a VM, as a virtual machine. I know this is a very burning question because you may think, okay, how can I now prepare for my certification, or how can I now test this product? Don't worry, we have a lot of different platforms where you can access DNA Center and try it, like use different automation, assurance, or platform aspects and actually try it. I talk about dcloud, and then we have Sandbox instances where you can test this. But if you want to build this in your lab, currently it is only based on the hardware. Okay, architecture, I already explained you this before. So DNA Center, like the middle point, is able to control Cisco devices. In addition to Cisco devices, Cisco is opening a platform to utilize or to add other vendor devices into the DNA Center. So I will be talking about this in the platform, but here we can actually add other non-Cisco devices in the DNA Center. This was not done before, so for those of you who know other products from Cisco, like other controllers, you know that they are pretty much meant to be used for Cisco devices, so not so much for other vendors. But at this point, at the point of the DNA Center, you will have opportunity, or you have opportunity to add, let's say, Juniper devices, Huawei devices, and other vendor devices into the DNA Center. It is also integrated with ICE, with the Cisco ICE, but I will talk about this later. So currently, what we have is controlling network devices. This is so-called southbound communication, and at the same time, there are open APIs. This is northbound communication, where you can, let's say, integrate your current services or your servers that you are running in your network with the DNA Center. Let me explain you through the example. So you have ticketing system like ServiceNow, and you want through the ticketing system to upgrade your access switches on the location, let's say A. In the ServiceNow, you will open a change request, so you will open a ticket. When a ticket is acknowledged, when it is confirmed, then ServiceNow opens API to distribute certain image and to activate image. When it is done by the DNA Center, the ServiceNow gets a response on this was done, so you can close a ticket, or all the devices, so all access devices got the desirable software version. So this is just one example, but there are more. You can basically refer to different case studies at Cisco to see what are other examples they may use. I print here just a portion of the product device support. So for this list of the devices, you can find Excel spreadsheet on the cisco.com. So it is called Dnag device support metrics. Again, not the whole list is displayed here. There are still items missing, but I'm just showing you how it looks like. So you have basically device type. You have recommended software and minimum software supported, and then you have the license support. You will learn later that we have a couple of different, we have two license levels, Essentials and Advantage, and I will explain you later how it works, but what you see here are those two columns explaining what kind of license is supported on a certain type of the device. And then there are other tools or features that you may see whether they are supported or not in the Dnag. Okay, let's now assume that you already have your Dnag running and it is installed in your network. By the way, installation of the DNA Center takes, let's say, 3-4 hours. So be prepared for the first installation to take some time. When you first log in, you will see such a screen. I show you here a couple of different pictures. This is simply because you need to understand that they have, let's say, a couple of pictures behind, and they are presenting every time different pictures. So don't be confused about this. So just look in this window in the middle that says, okay, you are on the Dnag this and this, and you can log in with your credentials. So pay attention that the picture may be different. Now, when you log in, you will land on the welcome page where there are a couple of aspects that you can observe. So first, you will see this assurance summary, basically telling you what is the health of your network. It is divided on the health of the network devices, and then health of the clients and health of the applications. I will talk about this a little bit later. Then you have a network snapshot where you can learn what are the components of your network, so how many sites, how many devices, and so on and so on. So this is on the first page. And now let's scroll down on this page. We get to the 5 main components or tools. They are design, policy, and provision. These 3 are representing automation. So through these 3, design, policy, and provision, you are performing whether it is day 0 automation or day N automation. So inside design, you are designing your network based on the sites, buildings, floors, and these things. You are configuring IP address pools, basic network configuration, and so on. In the policy, you are, let's say, configuring kind of policies, who can communicate with whom, then whether there is certain feature like application policy that you want to enable, you configure it here. And then in the provision, you are basically selecting the site or you selected devices and push or provision this configuration to the devices. Assurance part, this is all about analytics. So you will see what is happening in the network through the assurance part. And then the platform helps you to utilize your other tools, other services to be integrated with the DNA Center. So if you have some other vendor switch and you want it to be integrated with the DNA Center, use SDKs, so software developer kits, and use them through this. Or if you have some ticketing system you want to control DNA Center, use a platform through the APIs, and you can utilize this service as well. When you scroll down more, so from previous page, I scroll down more, you will see more tools here. And these tools may change from the version to version, but eventually, I will not go through all of this. You have a tool, Discovery, that helps you discover devices quicker, like it may be through the IP range, through the CDP, through the LLDP, and so on. You have topology for graphical representation of your network. Command Runner is basically a tool where you can push certain commands to the device. Basically, this is just for show and ping commands. Not the configuration can be done through this, and so on. So there are other tools. As I told you, it may change. I remember from before, from the version 1.2, we had here tool inventory, but later they include this tool in the provisioning part of the DNA Center. Okay, so I already talked about this. Dnag DNA Center is assembled from two components, so automation and analytics, and each component is doing what the name suggests. So automate the configuration or analyze the configuration, or analyze the performance of the network. This slide is basically telling the same thing. So you have DNA Center that is changing your business intent into the configuration and is pushing the configuration to the network devices. Then the context from the network devices is collected and get back to the DNA Center where you can analyze this. Part of this telemetry information can be pushed to the cloud, to this cognitive analytic cloud, where Cisco is doing this artificial intelligence and machine learning to find certain deviations and then push you back some insights into what is happening in your network. But this is completely, let's say, optional part. There is still an analytics part of the engine on the DNA Center itself. Okay, and now we get to the first. This is automation part. So basically, with the automation helps us to configure network devices on a fast and secure manner, and without any, let's say, mistakes. And if there are any updates that needs to be created, we have workflows in the DNA Center that help us to automate certain things in the network. This is an example of a very diverse topology with different software versions, platforms, capabilities. And if you have some experience in configuring QoS, you know that this is a major challenge on how to configure all these particular devices. With the controller as a DNA Center, you have a couple of screens that you need to click around, and the configuration is hidden from you, so you don't see what kind of configuration is pushed to the devices. So everything is abstracted in your level in the configuration of the QoS. Okay, there are other controllers, as you know. For example, Dnag DNA Center has a pre-accessor, which is APIC EM. There is also one controller, Cisco Prime infrastructure, which is still alive. Somebody may ask, okay, but what is now positioning of the CPI? Well, most probably it will be integrated in the DNA Center, but it is up to debate. For now, I don't have clear understanding on this, but still the controllers like Cisco Prime Infrastructure and DNA Center are controlling, are doing different things. Like DNA Center is more open. I already told you about APIs open. I told you about SDKs that allows you to integrate other vendors. In the southbound interface, currently, DNA Center is using Cisco CLI, but I hope very soon we will be seeing using netconf as the language of configuration. And on the northbound, we have those REST APIs open. There are a couple of automation use cases that you can see. So they are divided on the day 0 and day N automation. As you can see, plug and play, wireless automation, standard change automation. So for standard changes on AAA configuration, DNS, DHCP configuration, time zone, and so on. So you can see here. Application policy, this is basically QoS, or in the APKM it was called Easy QoS, so it is called now application policy. And then we have software image management that can be also done through the DNA Center and RMA. Okay, and we are getting to the assurance part. Again, assurance needs to collect a lot of information from different aspects of the network. So not only from the network devices, but also from the clients, as well as from the applications running on these clients. So you have possibility to select what are these business critical applications, and DNA Center will get information about this through different probes. So Netflow is one of them, to tell you about what is the health, or what is the throughput, what is the jitter, what is delay of a certain application. So we have these three, let's say, areas of assurance. As you see, client on the left speaks to the client on the right. There can be many things that may go wrong. And DNA Center collects information from all of this and makes some sense to you, so make you some report or insights into what is happening. As this slide explains, so we have AP talks to AP, we have port that it talks, and then we of course get this information from the Netflow. Then we have AVC, so application visibility and control. We have DDI, this is for DNS, DHCP, and IP addressing control. So all this information is put together in the Dnag assurance, so that it provides you insights what is happening with a certain user. For example, if this user tells you that this device cannot connect, you already know from the Dnag where device connects to, what switch routers are involved, and you can pretty much very quickly get to the resolution. Cisco also get into cooperation with Apple and Samsung with their phones. We call this Apple Analytics and Samsung, Apple Insights and Samsung Analytics, where a phone sends telemetry information to the Dnag, where a Dnag can analyze this. So we talk about different telemetry information on signal to noise ratio, signal strength, channel throughput, and so on. And also the reason why, for example, the client was disconnected previous time, so that you have all this information inside DNA Center. When you get to the DNA Center, you will search for this Assurance tab, and in the Assurance tab, you will land on the home page of the Assurance, where you will see these three health screens. So you have network, client, and application health, and you can examine what kind of health is on all these different aspects. If there is a situation where a client calls you you can utilize this search button here and simply type a name of the user, select a user, and then you will be able to see all, let's say, this is called Client 360 view, where you will be able to see who is the user, what devices are associated with this user, and then for every device you see some kind of report. Like here for this particular iPad, you see that there was a time of period that there was some problem with the connectivity. You can go back and examine where this happened, who was affected, and whether there are some critical assets that you need to correct. With the Client 360, you see much more like issues, what the issues may be, or where the device is onboarded right now. In this site, you see that this particular device gets through this SSID to the access point and is connected to this WLC. When you scroll down this page, you will see more and more reports and tests that you can do on this particular client to help you understand what is happening and how the client connects. Like here, you will see certain events, path trace, that you can enable a path trace from the client to a particular, let's say, printer or server to see what are all the components in the path between those 2 points. And then what I told you before, application experience. So basically for those business critical applications, you can see the health or how the application performs so that you understand whether it was the problem of the client or there is a problem of the certain application. The question here I will quickly answer related to the ICE, Cisco ICE. Yes, DNA Center is integrated or should be integrated with ICE because many policies that you want to push through the DNA Center are created on the ICE. So you have this PX grid communication going on between, well, PX grid, PX grid between ICE and Dnag, and they depend between each other, especially when we talk about software-defined access solution, which I will explain later. But yes, ICE is a critical component of this story. Next is platform. So the platform is basically, as it says, is the concept is the platform where Cisco wants you to start utilizing your services and bring them into the DNA Center. So the DNA Center platform becomes, let's say, a central point of your network, where your business applications are controlling network devices through the DNA Center. This slide, I think, very well represents this. So in the middle, we have Cisco DNA Center platform, SDKs, so software developer kits are available to integrate other vendor devices. Then we have certain APIs that are already documented. Be aware that these APIs, there are much more APIs that they are officially documented because Cisco is still working on this, and when API is in the production, then it is safe to use it. If it is not in production, so if you use it without confirming it is in the production by Cisco, then it may be a subject of a change. And now with the APIs, you can control all these functionalities that you can basically control through the GUI, so through the Dnag GUI, you can control through the APIs. Yeah, on the east, so we have adapters. This is for X domain integration, where Cisco is integrating other Cisco products into DNA Center. So here we talk about Meraki, StealthWatch. I mentioned before ICE. This is like the main part of it. So these products are getting deployed in the platform. And then on the left side, you have some adapters that are available for other vendors. So Cisco went into the market and see what are the, let's say, the highest ranking vendors on a different technologies, and they selected those and already integrated those. But then for a rest, they provide you some bundles so that you can integrate other services in the Dnag. Quickly, this is the list of the APIs. You will find them in the documentation or on the Cisco DevNet site. So if you go to this platform, there is a developer kit, and you will find the list of the APIs here. As I told you before, for example, ServiceNow as a ticketing system, it is already integrated. But for other ticketing systems, you have here bundles prepared. For IPAM as well, I think Infoblox was already integrated. But if you have other IPAM, you can use this bundle. Okay. Then related to the platform, I want to emphasize this web page. So a Devnet web page, developer.cisco.com, where you will find as well documentation, labs, sandboxes. So there is a lot of labs that you can run here and learn about the product. They also open code exchange so that you can exchange codes with other vendors, and some exchange of application and service integration. So this is the page where you want to spend some time and find out what are all the components you can find here. So this is the page with the overview, walks you basically through the components that you have here, and there are many capabilities you can integrate through this DNA Center platform. Okay, as the last part, I will talk quickly about roadmap, licensing, and resources. So when you look last year, so 2019, there were a couple of releases. So we have released in the beginning 128. By the way, these releases are coming in the 4-digit number, like 1331. First 2 digits are major release. The third digit is minor, and then the last digit is basically a build bug fix. As I looked into, so we have the latest update on the 20th of April. So this is a couple of days back for the release 133 bug fix. Have in mind that releases are coming every couple of weeks. So in, let's say, 1 year, there is a lot of changes in this segment. So Cisco is investing a lot of resources in building this product. When you look to the licensing, so the old school, we have this 3-tier packaging with a LAN, IP, and IP services. This is the licensing for the switches. Today, with the Catalyst 9K and other switches and routers that are supported with the DNA Center, we have 2-tier licensing. We have a network licensing. This is based on the hardware, so this doesn't change. You buy it once, you have it all the time. But then it is a subscription-based DNA licensing. So you have 2 tiers. So you have Essential with more basic stuff and Advantage with those advanced stuff. So this Advantage license is 3, 5, or 7-year subscription. And this network license is permanent licensing. Licensing, let's say, scheme, you will find on this matrix. So licensing Cisco DNA Center matrix, you will find this on those links. Just to quickly show you how it looks like. So you have such table. It is downloadable in the PDF format. You have network essentials and advantage. Again, this is coming with your hardware. it doesn't change. But of course, if you want to run some advanced features through the DNA Center, it makes sense to go to the Network Advantage license, because you can't get to the Cisco DNA Advantage license without having a Network Advantage license. And then we have these two licenses that are related to the Dnag. So you want your device to be controlled by the Dnag, you buy those subscription-based licenses. Then in addition to this, you have Cisco DNA Premiere. This is the license bundle where you get everything what is in the Cisco DNA Advantage, plus some additions on the ICE license, StealthWatch license. This is pretty much it. Yeah, I think I put this in a separate slide. Yeah, so this Cisco DNA Premiere, you have some features enabled, so that involves a StealthWatch. So this is for ETA, encryption traffic analytic. You have ICE in this bundle for SD access and some other features and so on. So this Premier license provides you some bundling of the licenses for these features. Okay, as the last portion, there are some, let's say, key launches and releases for previous and this year. Some of them already happened. So we have here artificial intelligent network analytics. So Cisco is putting more IE kind of reports in the Dnag. Multi-domain support, app hosting. So this is also at version 1.3. We already have 1.3.3. IoT platform integration, and then this is what I talk about, automation exchange. So on the Devnet side, you can see many resources and many exchanges from other partners and customers. And the last one is Devnet Certification. You found this on the 24th of February this year. Cisco announced a new certification, let's say, line for the Devnet, and is also including a lot of software-defined features in other tracks. So if we talk about our routing and switching, let's say, path, or it is called infrastructure path, in order to, let's say, complete certain certification on the CCNA, CCNP, or IE level, you need to have some experience or some knowledge about, especially about DNA Center and about software-defined access, which we will talk about later. So Cisco is really serious about this product, and that's why it is pushing this in other, let's say, certification paths as well. Some resources, you will find resources on the Cisco Live in the form of presentations and recordings. On the dCloud, you will find certain labs. Today I looked into their 2 labs that may be on your interest. They are on a different versions. So you can go there, start a lab. It is always on demo, so you can do it immediately. And with those labs, find use cases. So inside the dCloud, you have those use cases you can run through the lab to learn about this. And then below there, you have a Cisco Sandbox. For these sandboxes to start, I think you don't need to have any credentials. But like here on the Cisco Live, you need CCO ID for the dCloud. But for the sandboxes, you can just run them on the spot. You just need to have a credential to log into the DNA Center. Okay, with this, we conclude this presentation. It takes me 45 minutes. And now I will open panel for questions, for any possible questions. Let me see if you have questions, and I will address those. Okay, yeah, this question is very, many times is happening here. So is DNA Center available as the virtual machine? As I told you initially, currently not. I know that many engineers want to get in touch with this technology. So it it doesn't make sense to buy just to buy a product to, let's say, to prepare for your exam. And that's why you have these resources that I talked to you about. But otherwise, currently, I'm not aware that there's any ISO image or anything like that that is supported by Cisco that you can run in your lab. So only hardware platforms. I think it has something to do with the resources, because in the past, Cisco had not very good experience with people running controllers on underspecified, let's say, machines. Okay, next question is DNA Center controlling access points? Not directly. So DNA Center is controlling WLC, and then WLC controls APs. It has to do with the latency, because Dnag is normally in the HQ, in the headquarters, and access points may be on a different remote location. So this communication is still performed between WLC and AP. Although there are some assurance features Cisco is introducing where DNA Center can collect certain telemetry information directly from the APIs. But this must be enabled through the Dnag, where you say to the WLC to tell to the AP to send this telemetry information to the Dnag directly. Okay, question is related to the application policy. Yes, I already explained this before. Application policy is basically a new name for QoS or easy QoS. So it is called now application policy, and you will find this in the policy tab inside the DNA Center. And in this application policy, you are then specifying application sets, and these things to help you to configure QoS very quickly. A question related to the SDA. Yes, in order to run software-defined access, you need to have DNA Center, but it is not vice versa. So basically, we will have a separate webinar on the SD access. We will be talking about this, but definitely, in order to run SD access, you need to have Dnag installed as well as ICE, because in the ICE you are configuring different policies. Okay, nice question related to the clustering and high availability. Yes, I'm not sure if I have time here now, but basically for high availability you need to have at least 3 DNA centers in the cluster. The reason for this is if you have just 2, in case one fail, or if connectivity between them fail, the other one that is still active doesn't know whether the neighbor is active or not. So this is so-called split brain. And in the split brain situation, all the services on the active one will be suspended. So imagine you have 2 in a cluster, the service on one fails, the other one doesn't know whether there is a split brain or the other one really fails, and he also suspends all the services. And that's why we need 3, because then if one fails, we still have majority of the Dnags in the cluster that will run and will not suspend a service. Okay, I think I explained this. So Cisco DNA licenses are subscription-based. So you have 3, 5, 7-year subscription, but the license that is on the hardware, so this is a network license, is permanent. So it is hardware-based. When you buy a switch, it stays with the switch all the time. But in order to control this switch after, let's say, the DNA license expires, you need to buy another subscription to a license. Okay, guys, I hope I highlight the key components of the DNA Center. Yes, there is a concern because Cisco wants to really push this product or everything what is software defined on all the platforms or all other areas. So they are bringing this in the certification tracks. And for you to, let's say, get some experience on this, I show you a couple of resources where you can get, let's say, hands-on for the DNA Center, as well as other features. Okay, at this point, if any questions, please don't hesitate, send me email. I am also inviting you to other webinars that we will have in future. So stay tuned on the webinars related to software-defined access, webinars related to the Stealth Watch and different components of the Stealth Watch and so on. Okay, so with this, I thank you for your participation. We managed to end it in the hour. So have a nice weekend. Here in Ljubljana, we have very nice weather, so I'm sure my weekend will be also great. Have a nice day and see you until next time.